This thing's spooling him properly up. How's it, guys? Welcome to this week's Go Fish weekly wrap up. We are live from Umhlanga Ski Boat Club here in Umhlanga, and with us as usual it's Byron Kane on the left. BK.
How's it, guys?
Good to have you. And we've got snook specialist and all-round flippin' legend angler, Adam. How are you, bro?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Yeah, good. Unfortunately, Brendan and Ali can't make it tonight. Ali's down the south coast, hoping to get into one or two big tuna down in Shelley, and Brendan's catching up on some admin there at home. But yeah, tonight we are going to be getting quite a lesson from Adam on snook fishing, just sort of the ins and outs and the do's and the don'ts, what to pay attention to, what to look for, and hopefully to be able to get you guys into some more snook as well this season. I know a lot of guys struggle with that species. Sometimes they can just be, look, we've all had it where they've been
100%.
on their side next to your ski, and you've got better chance of gaffing them than catching them on whatever bait you've got out there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Not caught elusive for nothing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So like Kirk says, the snook is a very tricky species. Elusive is the right word, but at some times, whatever you throw in the water, they will eat. So it can range from the most frustrating fish in the world to probably the funnest fish in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
What's great is that they're light tackle fish. It's super fun on light tackle. If you're spinning with 10 to 30 pound braid.
And we're going to be playing a clip from the new Ford Ranger XL Sport a little later. But BK, you've had the enjoyment of the Ranger over the last 2 or 3 years, towing the boat and that. And
yeah, I know. And I think just from the versatility of it, the 2.2 especially is it's great value for money, and it really boxes well above its weight. I tow around a Tomcat. We do Mozambique trips. We work hard on the beach in the middle of summer. You've got temperatures in the upper 30s, and the cab's grafting, and it's delivered continually for me. The short range on the box when you get into low range gives you all the torque you need. So even though it's a smaller, the 2.2 is a smaller engine, as I said, it boxes well above its weight. And yeah, it hasn't let me down. Certainly on from using it on the boat, which is over 2 tons, and it's got the towing capacity as well. So that's something to look at. Yeah, and then on the jet ski, obviously light on fuel and easy to get around with. Yeah, so really I'm very happy. I've had one now, got my second one now, so for 5 years now, nearly 4 years, and yeah, it's hasn't let me down. So really a great vehicle. They've got some awesome specials running at the moment as well, and yeah, they've just brought out the new sort of facelift XL Sport, which is definitely something worth having a look at as well.
We're going to play that clip for you now of the new XL Sport from Ford, new Ranger. They've also got a couple of new, I think the Ranger Thunder is also out now as well. But this is the Ranger XL Sport. Give it a look. It's a pretty impressive vehicle. Here we go.
With a new black grille, 17-inch black alloy wheels, and striking black detailing, this is the all-new XL Sport. Live the Ranger life.
Definitely one thing that Ford has always got right since they brought in that new bulkier look to it is the look and styling of that Ranger. I mean, it's phenomenally comfortable inside, beautiful looking vehicle, and it seems like now they've got an engine to match all of that to be able to help us tow the big crafts in it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's very comfortable to ride. Also, the electronic power steering is also ultra light as well. So yeah, so mommy can drive it as well. She doesn't have to build any muscles. Yeah, so there's lots of pros around. Definitely, as I said, worth taking for a test drive and see what it's all about.
The other thing that's worth mentioning at the moment, guys, is our comp, which is the Go Fish Summer Series Summer Slam that's on at the moment. It is running between now and the end of April. It's a biggest fish event as well as a species event. The main prize is for a biggest fish, which is out of Dorado, Kuta, Wahoo, Snook, yellowfin tuna and yellowtail, and those are species that you can actually keep and measure on the beach. The other species that we've got up for the species comp are release species, but all you need to do is just basically video and release those, and it's an app-based event, guys. There's about 100 and 110k worth of prizes at the moment, weekly lucky draws, monthly lucky draws. There's a lot of action that's happening. This weekend specifically, we're giving away a hell of a lot of prizes come the end of the weekend, being the end of the month. And it's a really interesting comp to get involved in. Nice dynamic. It's within the borders of South Africa. You can fish anywhere. You can fish any time. So you're always in the competition, and you can fish off any craft. So today you can fish off a kayak. Tomorrow you can fish off a ski boat. And if you catch a biggest fish on either of them, you're in with a shout. There's also category prizes as well. Biggest fish of a ski boat, jet ski, or kayak. Species prizes, like I said, ladies and juniors prizes, and a lot of lucky draws, as there are always with Go Fish, the Go Fish comps. So get involved and give us a shout if you want to find out more with regards to that comp.
Yeah, I mean, and the app's live, so it's lekker. You can go on, you can see exactly where you're standing, how you're doing in the comp, what you've caught, what the other opposition guys have caught. So it's really nice. You're involved with it all the time. It's a great app, and it's easy to use. I can use it. And Kirk.
If any of you guys, yeah, I designed the app, so you know it's foolproof. But if any of you guys are wanting to get involved from a sponsorship point of view as well, there's a lot of real estate on that app as well as on the website to get involved, and the digital magazine as well as our social media pages where we can give you some really, really good coverage. So get a hold of us for that, and we can give you all the right details. A new lure that Major Craft has brought in, it's the same guys that do Spro, it's Outdoor 365. It's not really a new lure, they sort of brought it in around, I'd say, July, August last year, when they started getting into the slow pitch scene, was the Major Craft Jig Para. Now, these lures come in an array of sizes from sort of as little as sort of, I think, about 15 grams, all the way through to a couple of ounces. So this is the Major Craft Jig Para little slow pitch jig here, and we got a couple of these to test over the last month or so, and we have had such good fishing on them. Great for all sorts of species. This, you can see, imitates a lovely little sprat, and just the action on them. It's Japanese made, it's quality, you've got quality assists on their quality trebles, and they are just
Who are you going on to now?
Anna Mary.
Good.
No, you've also got kids. You're 20 years old.
We live. Check your phone. You should start getting notification that we are live, but the signal.
Smells bad.
That's okay. Is it better? We are live.
We love. What's up? How's it, guys? Okay, sorry about that. We're back. Yeah, we're just gonna have to bear with it. Unfortunately, the last time we streamed here, it was perfect. Now I don't know what's going on. Maybe the weather outside, a little bit too much concrete here. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we were going on about the major craft lures, the slow pitch jigs. Adam, have you done a bit of slow pitch jigging as yet? I mean, the big craze.
I've done a little bit, had a bit of success with it, but nothing major. It is definitely one of those things where you have to put in the hours and do it. It's the guys who are getting the good catches are putting the effort in, putting the hours. I know a guy like Guy Logan literally goes out and most of the time won't even get liveys, just goes to go slow pitch. And it's definitely very risky. Like, there's days that those guys go out and catch nothing, and you have your 5 liveys and get your 5 Dorado.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally haven't put the amount of effort in, but it is really something that once you start putting the hours and effort in, it is a very productive method of fishing. Same with stick baiting and popping in Durban. I think there's a bit of an untapped potential for stick baiting and popping. Again, I go back to Guy. He's been getting some great fish lately on homemade stick baits, and yeah, and look at the guys bucktailing and stuff. Artificials that if you put your time in and cast all day, you're going to get some great results. So that's I think the key to the slow pitch.
Yeah.
I think also just around
going to the right spots as well.
Yeah.
Your slow pitch doesn't just work anyway. You need to have certain spots. And there are certain spots that are better than most, and you need to spend time. It might be that you go slow pitch jigging all day and catch your 3 redfish or whatever, and the other guys nail the kuta, and then the next day you go back and you get that trophy GT or something.
Yeah.
So it is about committing.
That, again, if you go back
1 or 2 major craft slow pitches and some kingfish I see are doing some as well, which is great. So guys, just if we're battling with signal, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately it is what it is. We're just going to have to sort of
Change the mind and it's good now.
okay, we're just going to have to power through a bit here. Another brand to mention of late is Lowrance. We all use the Lowrance brand, and for reasons, they are just a brilliant, phenomenal fish finder, GPS unit, and their backup service is phenomenal as well. You go into that shop, you go into Lowrance there, and you speak to John or Liz, and you're always getting great service, you're getting great feedback on the units, and they're always just willing to help. I mean, you've used Lowrance.
Yeah, and I think also they're just progressing all the time,
Yeah.
So they're just getting better and better and better, and the top end features, or features that were only in the top end units sort of 2-3 years ago, are now in the good units. They say good, better, best. So definitely right through the range you can get what you need without having to go and buy the top of the range unit. So they cater right from the paddle ski guys, jet ski, up to the ski boats and top of the range. So you can really choose what you want, but you can literally get all the features in sort of the product that you start with. So yeah, fantastic product, and as Kirk was saying, the backup service, and they're always there to help. And John's just got such a wealth of technical experience. He can, if you have any issues, he literally can sort you out in 2 minutes. He really knows what the fault is as you start talking to him. Yeah. So they've got a couple of new units that just come out. That new Elite has come out, so definitely worth having a look at that as well. There's also some awesome features on there. Go to their website, all the info's there. And see what they offer you. There's some really good units out there at the moment.
Guys, we just launched the Shelly Beach episode on Monday, which was the last episode of the Shelly Beach series for Go Fish with Friends. The first episode was launched last week, Monday. We went down to Shelly Beach, had a lovely weekend with the wives and the kids and that, and did a bit of fishing as well. We got taught a lesson on the Friday, and then by the taxman there at Shelly Beach. But came back on Monday and got our own back with a couple of tuna and other species on all sorts of tackle. We were getting them on popper and bucktail, on baits, or kite fishing. It really is an action-packed episode and a couple of good laughs as well. There was a little wager that went on there, and we're still trying to decide who won and who lost this. I pretty much, in my heart, I know we definitely won it, myself and my cousin Kev, against Ali and BK. But I think the Oaks are just looking forward to seeing a slightly larger person in the bikini, and that's why they're aiming it at me. But it's not going to happen. So we've got a lucky little clip here to show you. Go ahead and watch it, and let us know your thoughts on who you think won the comp. And if you think I won it, then don't comment. I lost it, don't comment. Here's a clip from Shelly Beach.
Got anthems and bands with masters, getting them right like my name was Miranda. I ain't bigger than alive.
On the top, does it?
Making sure that you know why, because this is forever.
On Derek again. Ellis on the bucktail.
This is the one that's not in that school of 8 kg fish. Let's hope they fight very differently here.
See the short pumps that Alistair's putting on the fish. He's just doing a short pump there just to keep his head up. Not long stretching pumps. He just keeps the fish head up when he's in the pinwheel.
I have been running things, you can just go on and take us a year. Love when they hated me, beat and everything out of my level. You give me that enemy, this is the plan that we showing them anyway. Hit up the borders and give them the NDA. Woo, this is the brand new, this is the brand new. Nothing you can't do, there ain't no baby. You'll be taken from me, man, it came from nothing made. It's something, name is buzzing, call me Ryan Gosling. Hey, gon' know that they gonna love me more.
A lot of fun and laughs down at Shelly, absolute joy, and just a great time had with the family. That if you guys are looking to head down and get into some fish down the South Coast way, definitely give the guys at Shelly Beach a call. They've got a lovely facility there, lovely club. The members are great as well. We were fortunate enough to fish with Faith and Charles. Unfortunately, Peter Bodenstein couldn't make it, but Faith and Charles were absolute gems and just showed us around their spots there. And they were phenomenal. It was great.
Yeah, no, I really, again, to Faith and Charles, it was unbelievable. We didn't crack the knot to go on the boat, on the main boat, so it's fine. No, we went on a little hurricane. We tried to keep up because we had two 80 Suzukis against two 200 Suzukis. But I think we did all right. We got there about half an hour after, but left with double the amount of fish. So it's fine. But go watch the show, and maybe let's have a little vote on who you think should be wearing the bikini. It's summer now, so Kirk's been slimming down. Actually, I see he's been on diet for the last 2 weeks, so he's trying to get down to that size 16 or something. So let's see what you guys think maybe in the next week, and we'll get Kirk into his little pink bikini. It'll be amazing.
In your dreams, in your dreams. Anyway, without further ado, we are going to get into some proper snook tips and some lessons here from the prof. Adam, take it away, bro. Looking forward to this.
Okay, guys. So again, snook, one of my favorite fish and great eating. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to catch these things. Let's start off with the number one thing I think you need to think of with snook, and that is being adaptable. The snook will chow for a very short period on a day usually, and they'll usually get keyed into one or two different things. So you'll find the guys will go and one guy will get 4 snook on an old copper spoon on that one particular day because they wanted that weight, that size, etc. The next day the guys will go back and get them on twisties. And I think one of the key things is to sort of have a bit of a snook box and just be ready for those eventualities because they will come. You're going to get caught out the one day and someone is going to be catching them on something you didn't think of, and you will learn, you'll add that new item to your snook box. However, there are a few key like main things that I would say form the core of that box. And then the other stuff is a bit like on the edges for those rare cases when they're keyed into something really weird. So my number one item, I would say on the snook box, would be something like, this is a Yuzuri Crystal Minnow. It's about that size, but any sort of Strike Pro, any sort of color like that. A white, green for greener water, a purple or a dark for those overcast days. Really, the colors on your lure kind of match the normal color combinations we would go for. That's on Go Fish a lot, and you can read up, and there's various articles on Go Fish on how to choose your lures. Again, I say like purple for overcast, but there's so much info out there on the internet, so I'm not going to get caught up on that. So that's yeah, and you want to, as long as your lure is swimming straight and it's the right sort of size. Again, the guys, stuff like the CID Hot Lips have been working well. Little Rapala Sorcerer works great. The bigger Rapala Sorcerer. Yeah, and it's just about mixing and matching your lures. Ask the other guys on the water if they're getting bites. It might be that they are just getting bites on pink that day. And then you just switch to your pink lure.
I think it's definitely just on the subject of these
Yeah.
lures. You always find that in the guy's tackle box, this is the profile.
That is the
generally
profile you
size,
will
this
find.
is the-
Yeah, for sure.
This is definitely the profile. The XRD8 as well, Rapala, Mick Clark put me onto that.
That
quite a while
match
ago.
wrap, that Rapala
Yeah,
match
that
wrap,
match
like
wrap.
guys.
You'll find those in the bass section, the XRD8 in the bass
And
bass
I know
section.
guys who fish for snook, instead of throwing spoons, they throw those little max wraps and stuff.
Yes, yes.
And it works great. It's
Yeah.
essentially what you're doing is pulling that lure past
Yeah.
them with a cast.
Yeah.
So anything in that profile, it matches a small red eye, a small mozzie, a small little mackerel, and that's what they feed on. Snook don't have the biggest mouths, so you generally are not going to pull a Speed Pro through the snook. Every now and then it works out, and you'll get a 12 kilo one or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's very rare. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have snagged him probably.
Yeah.
But that's the lure profile I like to go for.
That's and just on that profile, that if you're looking to sort of go for the crystal minnows are a little bit expensive.
They are quite
value for
expensive.
Money,
100%.
phenomenally.
Guys,
good
and
lures.
I would say with the snook, it's really important. The number one thing is to get your lure to swim correctly. If you often fish for snook in bumpier conditions, it's that day after the east, and if you're going over every single wave and your lure's skipping out, as soon as that snook that's following it sees that, it's out of there. Whereas if you can just pull this lure consistently for that extra 300 meters, that snook will maybe jump onto it.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing is not necessarily what type of lure you're using. I just personally prefer these because I know they're going to swim right. The DTX, Nomad, stuff like that works great. Anywhere on the market, you've got a whole range of lures in this profile which work great.
Yeah.
So that's that. My next step would probably be a fillet. What I like to do is fish a fillet and especially I'm talking about the kayak and potentially the jet ski. The ski boat you can fish 3 or 4 baits, so you can maybe mix it up. You can throw that weird thing in there that might just work. But if you're going to be fishing 2 baits, this is one that's gone through the ring and has caught a few snook. So you can see it's a bit rough. But this is basically your basic strip fillet. Okay, it's about, let me get it here. It's about a 6.0 hook, 6 or 7.0. Wire trace, quite light swivels, quite light wire, nothing too excessive. Guys, again, I say go back to Go Fish. There are, I think there's the Go Fish special method. There's 10 guys' methods are on those back issues of Go Fish. The type of method you use to tie your duster, not important. Stiff, everyone has their personal preference, whatever. I think the most important thing about these dusters, again, to go back to the lures, is to get them to swim straight. If your fillet that you've cut and you've put onto this is going to be spinning and not swimming straight, you're really going to struggle.
Yeah.
That's not see, that's unnatural. It twists up your line. It's just going to ruin your day. So it's really important. Guys, and I say, go back to the back issues. There are tips and videos. There's videos on the Go Fish YouTube channel on exactly how to cut a fillet for this. I'm talking more in terms of.
You weren't watching last
Yeah,
week.
yeah. Sorry, I don't know. I was actually watching. I just have completely forgotten. Guys, the last video Byron did was a great snook video on exactly how to cut those fillets and how to cut them clean. And guys, I won't go too much into the details. I'm more talking about the concepts behind these details. And it's crucial to be swimming your bait straight, to be cutting your fillets neatly.
Yeah.
If you cut your fillet, sometimes I go through 2 or 3 red eyes in the box, and then I get a fillet that I like, and I've thrown away 3 red eyes because what I've done is I've scooped and I've cut the fillet in half, and if I'm not 100% sure that that's going to swim straight and it's going to be neat and it's not too thick or too thin and it's going to wash out, then I won't put it out.
I think for
Yeah,
any
profile as
species,
well.
like your
Profile.
presentation with the snook is probably
Crucial.
more important
It
than
is the most
any other
100,
species.
yeah.
It's ridiculous,
Stuff like these dusters being old can affect your bite. Again, to go back to color is very much based on the normal rules of fishing with these dusters. You want to go with maybe a purple or something nice and clear, a pearl in your cleaner water. In your greener water, you can go back down to a greener, sort of muddier color. A darker color works great in green water. It's got very high contrast. It sounds weird, but it sounds counterintuitive, but it is actually true that a darker color has contrast in green water. You've got glow heads, you've got red heads, you've got silver heads, you've got mini eyes, you've got 20 different kinds of duster.
Weighted head, light head.
And I think the thing with that, just on your subject of hard swims, is to, when you're putting the bait on, and before you even...
You start going down the fillet and curling it over, and the trick is a flat, clean fillet.
Yeah.
So your dusters...
Also just to...
Yeah, sure.
Is that you've got to think of a profile as well. So lately there's been obviously a lot of the red eyes, like baby red eyes, so slightly bigger than a sprat. So it would talk to a slightly longer bait. So also vary the length of your fillet, you know. When you've got, because you can have your duster and your fillet, so it doesn't always have to be such a long bait, because sometimes you'll take yourself out of the game by sort of having too long a bait, because he's swimming around, he's eating, red eyes this big, all of a sudden he sees something like this going past, that's not looking natural, or it's not looking what's happening at the moment, so he's going to leave it. So just try and, as you're picking up fishing, what you're seeing, if they're spitting it out or something on the surface, try and cut a little bit smaller bait. Sometimes the guys go less duster, trim down the duster, but if they want to have a smaller bait and bigger bait. So there's a lot of, like Adam's saying, a lot of trial and error, and you have to persevere. That's one of the things. You've got to keep changing it up. Keep trawling around for 3 hours while other others are going on.
Yeah.
It's like anything. You've got to keep changing
Varying
it
your
up and find
distances
what
as
they
well,
need.
where
Yeah.
you're putting your baits as well can make a difference.
And just having 10 of these in your trace box. So if the guy goes, oh, I'm getting all my bites on green, you're not sitting there going, okay, well, this is a day I'm going to miss the snook. It happens. It's one of the most annoying things in the world. The guy will go, oh no, they're eating 15-gram red twisties only.
Yeah.
And that guy has 4 of them and he's got 10 snook and no one else has a snook.
People laugh at you for saying that, but it actually gets that particular
I
about a bait.
I think this like old school thing is like, oh, the snook eat or they go off the bite. No, you just haven't found what they're eating yet.
Yeah.
Any fish will eat if you pull past its face at the right speed with the right bait. It's not the cleverest thing in the world. It's you not cleverer than the snook on that day, which is not saying something about a lot of people. Anyway, so what's nice about the boat is that
If you haven't caught one, then you know.
yeah. What's great about the boat is that I say on the paddle ski I'll fish a fillet and a lure. On the boat you can go, and what you can do is you can go fish 2 fillets, 2 lures, get the color that works, and try something else. Then I'm going to go. There's a few other minor items on the sort of the outskirts of snook fishing. Guys, stuff like daisy chains. Guys, skipping twisties works great. So I'd say like skipping twisties, daisy chains. If it's crystal clean and you hear the divers are shooting snook and no one else is catching, a daisy chain often is the only thing that catches a snook, because they want the tiny, and they're only fooled by a tiny little bait.
Sure.
So often
But
you'll
2 or
find
3 on it. You're talking proper daisy chain, like
No,
2
no.
or 3.
yeah, daisy chain with like a
Two or
maybe a
three
skipping a spoon on the back, or but like quite a small daisy chain. Daisy
Yeah.
chain works great. You'll often find what guys ignore is the surf ski guys. Often those surf ski guys come in when you on the weirdest conditions with 3 or 4 snook, and very often on daisy chain. So daisy chain does work great. Daisy chain, skipping spoons.
And your colour on daisy chain?
Sorry,
Colour on daisy chain?
I'd go like a pink or a silver.
Pink or purple?
Yeah. I don't. I've got the daisy chain for the bonnies. It's more like an optional extra. It's nice to have, but it does catch a lot of snook.
Those little jub as well,
Yeah,
while skipping those jubs as well, a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Marcus let it slip with me as well one day. He said daisy chain now.
But the guys have cottoned on, especially from the surf ski guys catching so many fish on daisy chains these days because they're covering ground and they're fishing those daisy
Adam,
chains.
on those daisy chains, like you say, you're just chucking a twisty on the back.
I
Or
chuck a
or
twisty
you're
on
putting
the
something
back,
like
I'll
this
chuck a
on.
lure on the back,
Okay, alright.
maybe a fillet works great on the back.
Okay, alright, okay. So you're putting fillets as well, okay.
So that's your daisy chains on the outside, you're skipping your spoons. Some guys do really well with small red eyes on cooter traces. Literally it's a scaled down cooter trace down and you fish tiny little red eyes and you can actually pull them really fast with the chin weight. And that can sometimes get your bigger snook going. It's especially good for up at Zinkwazi and stuff. You'll often find the guys get a snook on a nice big red eye or even a mackerel.
Yeah.
Those bigger, fatter snook up north. Cape Vidal, they'll eat a little red eye, something like that. That little red eye just flashes in front of their face. And what's great is, especially on a ski boat, is that you can fish that red eye as part of your spread and you'll get cooter, a tuna will pick it up.
Yeah.
So if I'm fishing on a ski boat or a jet ski, I would look at that red eye as maybe my 3rd or 4th bait because anything in the ocean eats that.
Yeah,
you
100%.
never know
But
what's going to
it's hard enough to handle 2 rods on a jet ski. But put 3 and 4 kills me.
But I think also just on those lures, like I mean, a lot of these profile lures because
they match red eye.
but they're not necessarily made, especially maybe 2-3 years ago, they weren't necessarily made for saltwater. So guys weren't using it for saltwater, but they're still being brought in with inferior hooks. So it's important to make sure that you change the hooks on these smaller profile lures because they're often being used for bass or something like that. And when a cooter, now this time of year, end of Feb, March, you're getting those big cooter that are swimming around with those smaller snook.
They'll eat those.
They'll chow this thing so quickly, and you'll be left heartbroken when your bait comes back and the hooks are open.
100%.
Yeah.
And even a big snook can do damage to your tackle. Hey?
Yeah,
Like a big snook will bend the stock hooks open on a few lures, especially if it gets in the side of his face. So what Kirk said is a very important point: is to upgrade your tackle. Okay, so that's sort of your trolling for snook. You'll catch most of your fish like that, but when the spinning is on, it's the best way to catch snook. And it is also probably the most productive way to catch snook because when they're eating the spoon, they sometimes ignore the lures and they ignore the fillets because they get so tensed into speed, I think. And guys, again, range of lures, whatever you like for snook, anywhere from a 10 gram, anything below a 10 gram gets hard to get the distance. But I would say anything from a 10 gram up to about a 30-40 gram. Sometimes they want that 40 gram twisty, that big one, hey? And you get a few snook. A couple of guys, the old school guys, check that this onda is a bit bigger than a twisty. And this white onda, like something like that, if you look at the 2 different profiles, let me see if I can hook these up. I'm just going to hook these into my hands here quickly. So if you see the 2 different profiles, a snook will eat both of those, but probably on different days.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get it eating this on the same day as it eats this. So obviously very, very important to have this range of spoons in your tackle box. And the shore guys are much better at it than I am. But you need to be spinning and mixing up your retrieves and finding the right retrieve. It might be that they want a slow retrieve that day, a little slow bump off the jig off the bottom. Sometimes they want that spoon jumping out the water.
Yeah.
And then they'll commit. Sometimes you start off slow and they start following, and as you speed up, they commit. So again, variation and adaptability is the key to these snook. Take your box of tackle, take your box of lures, and you'll hear someone going on, and you see, okay, cool, he's using a 15 gram spoon. It's maybe got a red thing. Okay, I have a 15 or 20 gram red spoon. cool, I'm going to get snook, and I've got a much better chance. I'm matching the hatch, as we say.
Yeah.
And that's a trout term, but out of any species in the ocean that we fish for, matching the hatch is the most important for snook.
100%.
A kuta will eat a walla when the sprats are going wild. A tuna will hit a popper when the sprats are going wild. They do it. It does affect those fish. But for a snook, they get so zoned. They cannot. It's like they cannot see anything else. And I've seen it diving where they swim through a sprat ball and they just swim. It circles around you. They can't even move past you. They can't even see you as a threat, because they are so focused on that particular bait. And if you don't have that bait in the water at the time, you're going to struggle. And that's the key to snook, I think.
And just on the spinning side of things as well, something that I see a lot of the guys doing is they'll wind and they'll get the follow from the snook. The worst thing you can do is if
stop,
you get it, is stop.
Change.
100% or change.
The best
if
is
anything, speed up.
Yeah.
100%. With any species, I mean, GTs, your snook, your tuna, if you're getting that follow from the fish, he's interested in the lure already. So either speed up or keep
100%.
the retrieve the same, and you'll get the bite.
And another thing with the spinning is this is where you must put your crew to work as a ski boat captain. You can't do it on a paddle ski. You'll see the fish on the finder, or you'll see the fish jumping, or you'll see a guy go on in front of you and you'll cast. You need visual cues on a paddle ski.
Yeah.
On a jet ski and a ski boat, you need to be casting 100% of the time, because that might mean 2 or 3 snook.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Blind casting, while the skipper's covering reef, you need to be casting. Like, a bad snook fisherman is the oak watching, waiting for the rods to go on a ski boat.
Yeah.
On a paddle ski, you kind of just have to hammer it around as fast as you can.
Especially inside and outside, because you're on a certain line as well. Sometimes they're sitting inside, and a lot of the guys do fish tight on the back line and that sort of thing. But sometimes they do actually move deeper, you know,
Yeah,
the
the back of a rib.
Yeah, so the nice thing about spinning is if you're on the boat, you can spin inside, you can throw a couple inside, you can throw a couple outside. So you can actually find them, you know, you're actually covering bigger ground as well. Find them, hey, you've got one on the inside, okay, they're a bit tighter, get the skipper to go in a little bit closer into backline, or actually they're a little bit deeper, move out, you know, with the bait's a bit deeper. So that also...
Spinning for them just widens your spread.
Yeah, you've got to spin. If you're fishing for snook, 100%, but there's no sitting around. The oaks need to be spinning on the boat. And just a really nice rod that I only picked up in about the last 6 months from Kingfisher. They do what they call actually a flick stick. It's probably about a 240, it's probably about an 8 foot rod, but it's got such a beautiful light tip that you can throw those 15 grams.
Is that what you use for bonnies as well?
Yeah, it's one for bonnies. Yeah, so it's really, just go look for it. They call it a flick stick, Kingfisher Poseidon. It's good value for money. Maybe a little bit long for the guys on the ski, but on a jet ski and on a boat, definitely it's a beautiful all-round rod. You can throw anything, like I say, especially the lighter rods. You know, if you go down to 20-pound, 30-pound braid, you can get a hell of a lot of distance. You get right into the back line, into the mid-break, and that, which is good as well. You want to be where those, the waves are breaking sometimes. You know, if there's not a lot of bait balls around as such, the snook will also sort of congregate where there's that break and mixing up with sand and some small bait coming up, possibly they feeding on, or smaller fish feeding on that, and they're then feeding on the smaller fish. So definitely worth looking at.
So just to speak to so that's kind of tackle, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's tackle, and I'd say it's not the specifics, but it's the concepts behind what tackle and how you need to approach your tackle with snook fishing. It's the broad strokes of how to do it.
Variety is key. Yeah.
And to speak to maybe on the other side of things, conditions and what you're looking for in the water. More and more, I've kind of gone with snook. You cannot go, oh, they'll never eat in a west. I used to think like that. Oh, they'll never eat in a west. The west switches them off. The other day I saw some guy come in with 6, and it was 15 knots southwest. So you cannot say that. What I do find though is they like to eat before a big pressure system. So if you get a big southwest, they'll be eating before that. Usually on the 2 days before the cold. So a cold front comes through, you want to be fishing for snook just before the cold front. They do tend to like east, which brings in a sort of a greener, more turned up water, and I think that just sets off that small scale food chain for them, because they want to eat that small bait that eats the plankton, etc. So you'll find that a little bit of east does usually become the best conditions for you to fish for snooking. especially if you see a little bit of bird activity the afternoon before, you hear a sparrow shot, 1 or 2 in the area, then you kind of know, okay, I'm in the right sort of zone and I'm putting in my effort. Then when you're out there, guys, very important to be out as early as possible. I think that's one of the key with snook, as early as possible, and if you're going to fish in the afternoon, as late as possible. Snook do turn on at different times. Like 100% happens. I've had like snook smashes in the middle of the day. It's in Kwazi where that sprat ball has come up. But the key, I think, is to be up early, because often you'll get that bite and it turns off by 6:30 even.
Yeah.
They're very early fish most of the time. If there's no sprat balls or bait to hold them there, they'll feed early and they're gone. So get on the water early and stay till that last light. I checked that there's a video of you fishing in the afternoon once where you'd like fish late and catch 6 snook at Winkle or something.
100%.
So it's important to get that sort of darker light. It does help with them being a bit more I think it helps with them being a bit more committed to eating things, and they're feeding at that time. However, it's not that you must just give up once the action slows down a bit. Often you might bump into that shoal that has that one snook that just wants to eat, or you might get a double up, or you might come a little sprat ball that's just getting that last little bit of action. So I would say, unless you are desperate to get onto the kuta, or desperate to get on, and that tide's pushing, give it a little half an hour extra. You've got a really good chance of a kuta or tuna on a snook fillet or a snook lure. So put in that effort. And I had a mate the other day, he put on his snook lures at Westbrook and he went on backline and he pulled snook lures for 4 hours and he found the snook at Peace Cottage and he got 6. So it's really about just staying the course. If there's no bites, no action from 5:30, I mean, like usually you'll see in the first half an hour, if there's no snook there, there's no snook there. But if there is a bit of consistent action, a bit of bait popping up, it's often worth doing that extra half an hour of pushing through and paddling. You can always rest when you're kuta fishing.
So I think exactly to what you're saying, like I generally, for me, ideally, if I'm fishing for snook, I'll want a low tide at probably around 7, and then I'm on the water first light, so 4:30, and then I'll fish into that low, and that for me has been a very, very successful time to fish. But to what you're saying, 100%, if you get up, like tomorrow is full high at 4:15, I think it is. So, but still, get out there, try for the snook early morning, because they'll chow on that high tide. But then you know that if they turn
on the
off,
high tide.
They've
got a bit more water, so you'll often find on high tide.
Get in the back
like I know for a fact,
100%,
and again to sort of cross jump here, the sparrows usually try to look for a high tide when diving. If you ask the guys, and I do a bit of diving myself, but not as much as my fishing, but we tend to look for a high tide when diving for snook, and it's because it pushes those snook closer into your diving
rock and surf guys as well.
Rock and surf guys as well.
So
So to speak to that, and that's maybe why you're getting so many fish fishing a bit deeper on the paddle ski. Whereas I like to push right into backline on that high tide, get a bit sneaky, maybe dodge that way.
But that there, I mean, you're fishing a high tide early in the morning, so you're looking for that darker, that low light bite.
Yeah, that low light bite, then pushing in early, then pushing into the backline, and I would, like tomorrow, if it's high tide early, there's been a bit of off colour in the water, I'm going to go for a snook tomorrow, and I'm going to be pulling right shallow.
First, and then if they go off the bite, come back on the low. You know, I mean, by sort of 8 o'clock, that low should start pulling and pulling out, forming some really nice ribs and that sort of thing. Come back inside at 8 o'clock and have a look and see what's happening.
That's the key thing about fishing on the low, is that it's creating rips. So then you get clear sort of lines where it's coming out, again pulling the sand and some food out, and then creating some areas where small bait will come and feed and hide as well. And obviously the snook come in there and they start hunting around there. So that will also give it, much like Garrick as well, you'll look for those sort of rips, and that's what you generally get, especially on springs when it starts going low, because then there's a big volume of water that has to clear out, from the bays that are from your mid-break, and that gets the big rips going. So then you can come a little bit deeper, and fish almost those little mini colour lines that sometimes form with the rip coming out, really sandy water coming out, and creating a line, go fish through them, but also fish around on the edge of them as well.
Yeah, like Kirk says, it's worth putting on those Halcos when maybe not so much on the boat. You're running back to port. You don't really want to be pulling for stock for 3 hours for nothing. But if you're paddling and you find yourself 2 k's from your launch
Yeah,
site,
definitely.
come in onto backline, even if it's 11 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do a little snorkel pull with your lures. You never know what,
Yeah.
and it often works.
Yeah.
So
That-
don't just give up and paddle live baits slowly across if there's been no
Yeah.
action on live baits all day. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think also just a little bit on distances across your, not so much on the paddle skis because the guys are in stealth mode. I think Phil commented earlier there. You know, a lot of times on the jet skis and boats, you need to vary it up as well. So you need to look at distance as well. So definitely put one long on the when you're pulling because you've got engine noise and those things. You're in shallow water as well, so they can be a bit spooky. So definitely worth putting one lure quite long, even if it's the fillet. Put the fillet long. Put the plastic if you're pulling a mixed. Put the plastic a bit shorter. That's going to run slightly deeper below the surface and that. Because that Hong Kong or that long shot also works a lot on when you're on boat and jet ski. We've got motor noise and that sort of thing. Yeah. So just mix that up as well. Change your distances. Sometimes they eat right by the boat,
Yeah.
coming up by the wash, and they'll come and eat you. Other times they're not interested. They want a long bait, and they want to come and smell it and eat it as well, like a fillet.
I see Jake Room from the UK as Jake and Jesse Schubach used to fish a lot off of.
They used to fish for some.
Yeah, Blue Lagoon specialist. I see Jake saying if you chow tin fish for breakfast, the snook will come on the bite. Because I see if you also fishing for snook, you chowed a bit of sea last day off Beechwood the one day when your boat flipped. That's when you get a little bit too close in. But Jake, we're missing you this side, brother, and hopefully you can come back and show us what it's all about. Yoke's a very good snook fisherman there. But talking more to watercolor, and I think it's something that a lot of guys are put off by when they see brown water, when rivers burst and they see brown water coming up. It's definitely not a species you get put off by that brown water.
I'd say there's a very big difference between that first flood out of freshwater.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
no sea fish swims in freshwater. It's not. You're not going to get as the Msholi River is pumping out. You've got to have a mix in. And I'd say like rain burst, Kamsu, you maybe don't want to be fishing in that mouth first day. Once it's mixed on that second day, good color, ginger beer, I think the guys call it. Not brown, a bit of green.
Yeah.
Almost like that Sprite sort of something.
Possibly clean water underneath.
There's a bit of
Dirty
clean
water on
water
top,
underneath.
you know?
There's different layers and
Yeah.
stalactites. There's maybe some crostella that's washed out of the estuary in the area. Gill crostella is a tiny little bait fish that breed in the estuaries, and they wash out with the rains. And often, if there's a little gill crostella ball or something around, it can like little estuarine around
on.
herring ball, it can come on. So it's definitely worth going in that dirty water, going in that brown water, that green water.
Yeah.
As long as there's no like actual reeds and dead
Yeah,
cows.
You can
floating.
smell it.
Yeah.
If you
smell
can
the
smell
river.
it, it's not worth it.
It's not worth
But
it.
also, I think
Yeah.
one of the things that gives it away as well, if it's worthwhile sitting around and fishing for snook in brown water, is if you go to, often you'll find a colour line. So if the colour line's close enough, and try and look at going to that colour line and having a look at how deep that water is. Because often that fresh water is just on the surface, maybe a metre, and then you'll see that clear blue water underneath. And if you've got that, snook love that. I mean, off Umkomaas we fished and caught snook in water like this, where the sprats come up, and they often come up, those sprats come up, mid-morning, midday, out of nowhere, you know. So 100% first prize, ginger beer, or Kuta green, the Oaks call it as well. You get that like nice sort of clear green type thing. Type water.
I've just got my dad. Sorry, my dad's also a bit of a fisherman, so he's watching now.
Not
And
a bit of a fisherman.
he's messaging me, telling me that I'm wrong, and I'm gonna say a few other
Stop
things.
talking, son.
Yeah.
So I'm giving away all his secrets. But what I'm gonna do is my dad is giving me a tip to tell you guys. So, fish finders and snook. Guys, you can catch so many snook.
And just
on
a
fish
little bit
finders.
before you even start, just a bit of an insight on Adam's Bully. Rob Waite, he himself, Keith Hockley, lead shooter, Marvin Ginningwater, these are the guys that taught myself and a lot of other oaks how to fish off this coastline. They are legends of this coastline.
You clearly didn't listen.
So
I was half the time hungover.
Yeah,
From
so
Danny
we'll
Joker.
go to-
But,
yeah,
so what
shit,
Adam's
they're
going to give
legends, yeah.
you from a tip wise is it's either going to be complete bull or it's going to be a very good.
So guys, we're going to talk
definitely.
fish finders and fish finders and catching snook. And there's a guy, undercover guy I know, and I might see him on the water tomorrow. He knows who he is, but he's flipping good at catching snook on his fish finder, and he'll often catch 10. What you're looking for is sort of like a rugby ball showing.
Okay.
Like it almost forms a ball like this in mid-water, and you'll find it tapers off on one side and tapers off, and it's a very clear ball of like lines in the water. If you see that on your finder with like a reef underneath on like a snook rock, you speed up your paddle, you stop, drop a spoon down, a jig, one of these major craft jig paras, bucktail jig, and often no one else will catch, and because you're getting down through them, you're catching snook. I've seen guys go, no one else catches, and this guy catches 10 regularly. He's flipping good, and he's watching his finder, and he's using his finder to catch snook. It's not like a cruiser where you can go, oh, they're showing, and you spend half an hour not catching anything. If the snook are there, you can usually reach out to them and actually catch them in their space. So very important to use a finder and use it carefully to catch those snook. Especially, and use it to find the thermoclines. Use it to find that cleaner patch of water underneath. So very, very important tip there.
That's a very good. Thanks, Ross.
So just while we're on fish finders, Liz just came on. She said, especially for the paddle ski guys, the new Lawrence Hook Reveal 5 83-200 is arriving on Monday.
Awesome.
So everyone's been waiting for that. As I said, you're getting all of the features coming down right into the sort of good, better, best. So it's in the good, it's in the Hook Reveal 5 at 83-200. That's going to give you unbelievable picture quality, especially in the shallow waters where a lot of the guys on paddle skis fish. So you can definitely go and have a look at that on Monday. It'll be in the stores and in stock at Lawrence. So get all of the team there.
Yeah, guys, and so probably a last tip on, again, mixing this all up. So like, you've got the finder, you've got the water you're looking for, you've got your lures. Now, how would you go and approach snook fishing? And I think a lot of guys just go, okay, I'm going to paddle on backline as far as possible. I'm going to paddle out as far as possible, then I'm going to stop there and I'm going to do my lures. It's very important because the snook, from a diving perspective and seeing them diving, especially up at Sodwana Vidal, they like to hang on certain rocks. And you'll find those are snook rocks. There's a lot around Tindy. There's a lot around Jex. There's a lot around Blythedale. And they just kind of bounce from rock to rock. And instead of just pumping in a straight line, once you get to know those spots, Umhloti South also, Umhloti, and you can almost bounce River Mouth, University, and you're actually bouncing on those snook rocks. You're not just pulling over sand, hoping to bump into a shoal eventually. You're actually going, okay, this is where I know the divers have shot snook. I know I've caught snook before, and I bounce around in that area. And I think just working those areas, zigzagging over that one bump or whatever, will definitely increase your catch rate. Same goes for diving. You want to identify those snook rocks. It's years and years of experience. Those snook rocks and those snook points. Some guys I know can swim out and they look up and they see the landmarks. You won't even see the bottom, and they'll be on the right snook rock in 2 meters viz, 12 meters of water, and they're shooting 10 snook. So it's really crucial, and that's a lesson pulled from diving and watching your finder across to your fishing, is that snook definitely are a reef-based fish, and they do like to bounce around those various reefs, and it's very important to learn those, fish those a lot in 12 meter. Like if you see a nice baited ledge in 12 meter, give it an extra turn over. You don't have to just carry on past it on 12 meters till you find the snook.
I mean, our spot of Umkomaas is 14 meters.
Yeah.
So, but you work a block. So I mean, it's a tip from
scattered
one of the
ground. They love scattered ground.
Yeah,
they just bounce onto the little bumps
100%.
like that.
And it's a tip that we actually got from an old paddle ski fisherman down there, Malcolm Pollard, who used to catch holes of snook. I think the most I've seen a paddle skier catch. And he used to work a block, so you'd go from the back line out to sort of 14, 15, 16 meters, come across, come back, work, and just work that. Sometimes they're eating on a specific drift. You know, are you either going into current or with current? And other times they're eating sort of even on sometimes like a diagonal line. But the biggest thing to remember is, unless there's a spat ball, like you're saying, or bait holding on a specific area, snook are always moving. So they're always moving up or down the coast. So to be able to work those areas in a block, eventually, if there are snook around, they're going to be coming past and you should intercept them somewhere.
And I've also seen from diving, I watched once in crystal clean water, about a shoal of 50 snook came past, shot one, and I didn't get a good shot into it, and it looped around with the shoal, and I watched the shoal loop round over the sand and come back. And if I hadn't shot a snook, all they would have done was the same pattern all day on that reef, working it to get the bait. So if you're working that reef,
Yeah.
they're
You're gonna catch
moving,
them.
but like they might be stuck to that reef, and then they might move and they'll bounce, and then you kind of just need to bounce around. It's a bit of a once you get it, I think you'll find it. You get your snook rocks, you get your Kuda rocks, you get your.
And watch the lines. I mean, if you get a fish on that line, make sure you're sort of keeping on that line, and coming back over. I don't know if there's anything else from your side. I think you pretty much covered most of it.
Again, guys, to go back to snook, it's just snook action is fast and furious. It can turn on at the drop of a hat, and it can turn off. You don't know when it's going to turn off. So make hay, and I don't mean go over your limit. I don't mean catch so much you need to fill the hatch. 3 or 4 snook is fine for a braai and filling your freezer or whatever. I'm talking about more that in that half an hour of snook action, make sure that you haven't got your line around a prop. Because literally that 15 minutes that you're sorting it out might mean that you won't catch. So I think snook is just the best snook fishermen are the guys who are adaptable, up early, quick, ready. As soon as they catch a fish, the fillet's back on. It's out in 2 minutes. It's not sit, wind in my lines, change fillets, check it. It's you have to fish fast and just be adaptable in a way. And if you can sort of get that going, even if you just pull lures, you'll be fine for snook. Even if you just go and you just pull fillets, you don't need to get complex and stuff. If you are relatively adaptable and you are quick and you're fishing well and you're paddling well, you'll be fine with snook.
100%. Guys, I think you've got some really, really nice tips. I think one just to finish off that I actually just almost forgot about is when a snook is near the boat, that head shake. I mean, it shakes its head ridiculously.
So fighting snook is a challenge, and that's why you go with the lighter gear, not to shake any hooks out. I find if you use lighter gear, you avoid a lot of the struggles. I think guys tend to use versatile rods, where they might use their tuna rod and take the same rod snook fishing the next day. I would advise you to have a snook setup on your boat, at least one, and maybe a step up, a light kuta ski or something that you can adapt. But I like to have one snook setup that is purely for snook, and it's for catching that 2-3 kilo fish, and not losing it. They've got very soft mouths. Very important to play it lightly. The fight's only 2-3 minutes, unless the tax is wild. You don't really struggle too much with tax. And if you're getting taxed, there's so many bites anyway. So it's just important, play your fish, light tackle. When he's at the boat, don't force him.
Exceptionally sharp hooks and a lightest drag.
No. I fish a very tight drag for snook, almost locked.
Really? She's like, I fish a very light drag.
No, I lock it and get that hook into his jaw.
Really?
So again, that's personal preference. Some guys prefer light, but I do fish almost like a kuta drag. I fish so like if I go over the wave, it will pull the line out. But on a snook drag, I have to like pull line off the reel, because I just find it just, especially if it's like that snook is like snapping at it like this, and often with the loose drag, it pulls it and then it goes like 2 meters, and then he like come back to it and he pulls it 2 meters. It's not like a kuta which is smashing the bait at 100 k's an hour and.
I've had mixed. I'll fish differently on that trace that I showed last week. There I'll fish tight trace, a tight drag, because it's 2 hooks. So when he comes in, as he clips it, like you're saying, if he just snaps it, you want that hook. And especially on a jet ski where you've got forward momentum going, and on a boat you've got forward momentum going, it will pull the hook into him quite quickly. Look, other days if I have 1 or 2 snaps and I miss, then I'll actually fish freeze pull. So then I'll actually feed him. I'll let him pick up the just with a ratchet, like basically Garrick. Pick it up and actually swim away with the boat, and then set the hook into it.
I think mine was definitely on like a slight. There is definitely a slight tension. It's not freeze pull. There's definitely a slight tension. I just find that because of the soft mouths, I fish exceptionally sharp hooks. So I fish that mustard red tarpon, very, very sharp hook, thin gauge. And I've found that's worked phenomenally well. And also, like you say, you can feed him, and but that's worked for me. But it is it's a species that is such personal preference.
Yeah, yeah.
And once you find your way of it's like golf and putting. If you're putting with a flippin' hockey stick and it's working for you, keep going. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
yeah.
So
And yeah, guys, snook. It's you'll never. We can talk. I could sit and talk about snook until the cows come home, and water conditions, and they've got a crazy life history. I mean, I think I've caught them in 3 different countries on the African coast. They're like a crazy fish, and they pop up in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly they fill the ocean and one day there's none, and the next day you will never learn snook.
yeah.
Ever, and you think you got them down, but you won't. And I think the trick is to just be adaptable and have as much of that arsenal as you can. So one day someone is going to discover how to catch snook on live bait. It's going to happen.
I think Oki Tennyson,
catches
Yeah.
if you look at one of our wrap-ups we did in St. Lucia, he's already doing that with
And it might just be a special
red eye.
Yeah, it's just
and
a trick
a
to
sliding
it. And
treble trace, and he's caning. Yeah.
we'll eventually figure out the next trick and the next trick, and that's what I love about stock fishing. And,
Guys, I think it's Adam. A massive thank you, man. Thanks
No
for being
worries,
here. Don't go yet because we've got that Club Marine competition that we're going to be doing the draw for now. There's 3 prizes for it. Unfortunately, if you didn't like, share, and like the pages and share them with this competition, you're not going to be involved in this one. But just before we do that, we're actually going to be putting a prize together for the biggest snook from this weekend. So we're going to put a lacquer little prize together if you can catch the biggest snook before the end of this weekend for the Go Fish Summer Slam Super Series. So that is our chosen species for this weekend. So guys, enter that Go Fish Summer Slam. Get onto the KeepNet website. Check out the SummerSlam, Go Fish SummerSlam tab there and join, because we're going to be giving some awesome prizes away at the end of this weekend, as well as that chosen species prize, which is a snook.
It's 100,000 rand for the biggest snook.
Easy now. Brian says he's donating it.
Guys, get in it. Don't miss out. Both Saturday and Sunday is definitely fishable. So yeah, make sure that you're in the comp. You don't want to be on the water on the weekend and busting a good fish and not being in the mix.
100%.
So we've got 128 entries here. I've got a little random sort of Powerball app on my phone where we can choose the app winners. I'm just going to go onto the spreadsheet here with the winners that we've got here. 2 seconds. Here we go. Here we are. And all right. So the first prize is for the Club Marine bundle. And there we go. It is number 92. Sorry, number 92, which is on this one here. Hold on 2 seconds. 92. Clinton Davids is the winner of that one. Clinton Davids, we'll get hold of you there, my man, and make sure that prize gets to you. I'm just writing it down here. That's a Club Marine bundle. Next one is for the Go Fish bundle. That is a cap, t-shirt, and a buff. Here we go. Number 49. Here we go. Let's go down the list here a bit. What happened there? Okay, it is Tom Given. Tom Given. We'll get hold of you for that one. Now for the big one. 57. Robin Stander, well done, my man. You win for yourself. Sorry, it is a lady. It is a lady. Unfortunately, thanks very much, Mary. Robin Stander is in fact a lady. Sorry about that, Robin. Well done to you, Robin. It is you have won yourself from Club Marine a year's free craft insurance for your craft. You are a jet ski fisherman, I know, a fisherwoman. Yeah, enjoy it. And once again, a massive thank you to Club Marine for sponsoring this fantastic competition. And they, guys, honestly, they are involved in every event. They're involved in everything fishing, juniors, ladies. They really are they stretch themselves across every single event. Yeah. They just try to be involved in as much as they can. And they love fishing themselves. I mean, their company is made from
fishing
oriented, they are just fishing oriented, yeah. So massive thank you to Club Marine for that one. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Adam, big thanks very much.
Sure,
I
guys.
really appreciate
Always
it.
good to come and join the Growfish guys. So.
Yeah, man, awesome, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in. Big thanks to the guys behind the cameras and the computers there, Cam and Chad. Thank you. And guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Make sure you